This week we're going to take a closer look at the Cath Lab team itself. The team is usually comprised of technologists, nurses, and physicians. And in this video right here, we're going to see how the teamwork makes the dream work. So let's go into pre-procedure here. We see techs and nurses working to get the patient prepped and hooked up to all the machines. We also see the scrub tech getting ready as well. Next up, we want to sterilize our access point right here. I don't know if that's like proper sterile technique, but I know it's going to be clean enough probably for the procedure. And we can see the scrub tech setting up, getting the table ready. We see the doc enter the room right there, wiping his hands in a sterile fashion. And as you can see, they're about ready to go. So they do the timeout. Everybody's in the room. They go over all the aspects of what's in the timeout, and then they return to their respective corners. Okay, let's get the procedure started. Doctor steps in right there. The tech is eagerly anticipating what the doctor needs at this point. The tech is going to set up so that the access will kind of go seamless as possible. So I'm talking about in the order of things as in Lido, access needle, wire, and then sheath. But as you can see, physician has already administered Lido, and now they are going to go in and get access. While this is happening, the patient is consciously sedated, usually with 1 of Versed 25 of fentanyl, but it kind of depends. So here we go, physician's feeling around for that radial artery and working on getting access. And what we're waiting for is that spurting or some blood kind of returning through that needle. And when that happens, as you can see, the tech is ready with the wire, ready for the next step, already ahead of the doctor. And that's what I'm talking about. All right. Doctor's taking a little bit of time, but I think they're going to get it. All right. Oh, I think you got it. There we go. Wire goes through. Classic Seldinger technique, modified. All right, needle comes out, and there we go. Next up, I'm going to feed that sheath in right there. Okay. Make sure that that wire's coming out of that end. Whoa. All right. And as you can see, the cath tech in this scenario right here, the scrub tech, is just kind of eagerly getting things prepped for the next step. So we take out the sheath, and you can see the flushes and everything already right there for the physician. So it's very important to anticipate the needs, or actually just the needs of the procedure. So you're always ahead of the game. A lot of times it could be you performing a lot of these techniques or the physician, depending on how comfortable they are with you. Everything's pretty much within our scope here at the table. So it's always good to pay attention here. We're going to be inserting the wire in the catheter to get it ready, and as you can see, we definitely get in the mix of all that stuff. So yep, the procedure's underway. We got to get that catheter over to the coronary artery, since this is a left heart case, and we want to see if there's any blockages in the left coronary artery. All right. So as you can see, the doctor's controlling the X-ray system. The tech is controlling the equipment. At this point, sometimes the roles can be reversed, vice versa. So it's always important to know every aspect of the job, whether it's the X-rays or the equipment or whatever, making you definitely a more effective tech that way. And as we can see, that there's a lot of little small steps and procedures right here. So we call this clearing the catheter. So it's very important that we get air bubbles and everything out of there. We'll draw back blood, and then we'll connect it to our manifold system, which will read the pressure, will be able to inject contrast, and then also has the ability to flush with saline. So we'll learn how to do that in the course and what that entails. And basically, for the rest of the procedure, what we're doing is we're just taking pressures, we're shooting coronary arteries all on the left side of the heart right there. So what does that entail? We're shooting left coronary arteries, right coronary arteries. We're taking the aortic pressure. Sometimes they'll dip into the left ventricle. We'll take the pressure over in the left ventricle, and then sometimes they'll also want to take in what they call an LV gram, which will they'll take the just put a bunch of dye or contrast into the left ventricle and see how it pumps that way. As we can see right here, different, and we see the catheter on the screen here in the X-ray. We see it's got a definitely got a shape to it, right? So catheters will find out, especially you guys will find out throughout the course that each one's shaped a little bit differently, just to meet the anatomical demands of the patient. So there's going to be a lot of things going on in the procedure here. So big things that we want to do as techs, we want to make sure that we want to anticipate what's happening next. So like in this case right here, we've seen that they were trying to engage into the left coronary artery, but they were unable to. So now they're going to switch over to the right coronary with this catheter. So in the back of our minds, we're like, hey, we need to find or think about a different catheter to engage the left coronary artery in case we can't. In the meantime, also what we're doing is, we're paying attention to the screen. Sometimes we're also doing the injections of the coronary arteries. It's important to pay attention to the pressures and the monitoring system, which we don't, get to see too much right here, but the hemo system will tell us how our pressures are doing throughout the case. So if we're engaging into coronary arteries, we get in too deep and we're including the blood that's coming in, we'll see it in the pressure, things like that. So we're always kind of keeping our eyes on the screen, our ears, hearing. Sometimes they'll have like an EKG monitor or defibrillator, or what is it? They'll put them on the Zoll pads, and they'll make a heart beating sound. So we're using all our senses right there to make sure that the procedure's safe and going on. We're watching out for arrhythmias. We're watching out for pressure changes. We're watching out for even things like dissection. So we're always on our toes right there. All right. So as you can see, that there's some aspects of the X-ray system that you will probably want to get familiar with through your journey. You see little writings on the screen right there, RAO, cranial, those things, and that's the positions of the cameras, things like that. And you'll get a lot of that when we go over the case or go over the semester. Okay. So, and basically that's just about it during the intra-procedure portion of this procedure. We're basically just doing, the diagnostics, taking pictures, taking pressures, things like that, watching out. So as we're shooting the coronary arteries, we're gathering our data to see if we need to intervene, if we need to open up a tight blockage that's causing, symptoms, things like that. So let's just go ahead. We'll fast forward to the end of the procedure because I don't really have too much to say about the intra procedure that we won't find out later on. All right. All right, now that we're in the future, here we go. All right, so now we're coming to the end of the procedure. We see the doctor about to explain to the patient, kind of what went on in the procedure, if there was any blockages. In this case, there wasn't, so there was no need to go to intervention, so the diagnostic portion will be the only thing performed here. As we see the different roles of folks taking place in the post-procedure, we have nurses, doing med counts, doing the post-procedure assessment of the patient, to make sure that that they're still good to go, that we didn't cause any further complications. The tech right here will be the scrub tech, is usually in charge of the hemostasis portion of it, whether they're closing the artery with the closure device or holding manual pressure. Our monitor tech is gathering all the data that was gathered during the procedure. They're also in charge of doing case procedure logs, pretty much the narrative of the case, and recording all the pressures and making sure all the data is clean for analysis later. So as you can see, each person in the Cath Lab, a part of a member of the team, has their own role and has their own function, which is definitely cool to see. But we see some distinct differences, and for good reason. For instance, nurses are more focused on patient care, patient assessments, things like that, which are definitely strong in. And we see technologists here being in charge of the scrub role, being the other set of eyes and ears and hands for the doctor, whether they're in the control room, monitor room, or at the table, or even circulating the room. So it's important, I think, to understand each and every one's roles in the cath lab, whether they're nurses or techs. More further understanding kind of will help you guys navigate in the team and the team dynamic. So hopefully this helped, and see you next time.